collaboration with the Cyprus Mail. This is the Cyprus News Digest with Rosie Charalambous.
Let me start this week by hoping that you had a happy holiday and wishing you a very happy, prosperous and healthy 2019. Coming up on this week's programme, despite the heavy rain we've had in Cyprus over the last week or so, the Water Development Department and the Environment Minister are warning that we must still conserve our water supplies.
To promote the water conservation campaign again, because we actually need this. We are an island, isolated from the mainland of Europe. If we need water again, if something happens, we don't have other sources of water. So whatever we have to keep it, we have to save it, and keep in mind that the saving of water should be our second habit.
Tomorrow sees a ladies' walk around the north part of Nicosia, followed by a debate back at the CVAR.
Not everybody agrees with the peace process that is going on. And there are some people that say, no, we'd rather have separation. Well, let's see the pros and cons. Let's discuss and see what comes out of it. This is very important. You can't reach conclusions unless you have discussions and debates.
And 3 iconic British films make up British Film Days, which kicks off tonight in Nicosia.
Basically, the idea of this film festival was to choose 3 films about iconic British figures.
Well, I suppose we shouldn't be surprised that raining cats and dogs for about a week, everybody thinks, wow, great, the water problem is over. If you read the papers recently, you'll know that our Environment Minister has said it's certainly not. We're joined on the programme this week by the Acting Director of the Water Development Department of Cyprus, Panayota Hadjigeorgiou. Panayota, it is a thing that every year we get the rain, some of the dams are even overflowing, but we still have to be careful, don't we?
Yeah, certainly we have to be careful. 6 of the small dams have already overflowing, but this serves only local needs, and this is good for the environment downstream and for the boreholes downstreams, which will be fed, and during the summer the farmers will use the water for their irrigation. However, the large dams, which are Kouris and Asprokremos, and feed almost Kouris feed only half of the population of Cyprus, they are still empty because after the 3 consecutive years of drought, the dams are the storage in the dams is very low. So we have to be careful. The inflow in Kouris Dam steadily but slowly is increasing. This is optimistic, of course, because in January, we already have in 6 days 22.7 million cubic meters of inflow all over Cyprus in the dams. But still, we have to be prudent. We have to continue our planning. Like as if the drought is continuing, because now with the climate change, nobody knows how it's going to be next month. So we have to continue with our planning with non-conservative resources, such as desalination. In next week, we are planning to sign the contract for the desalination, permanent desalination in Paphos. Actually, it seems that Paphos needs this, especially during the peak period in summer, because of the tourists and the population increase and everything. We need more water. We have to secure these needs, and our policy the last years is that we cover 100% of the potable water needs.
And the other thing we should mention, I think, is apart from the huge inflow of tourists and everybody saying, wow, bumper year, 4 million tourists, it's not just that inflow, is it? It's also the growing local population and the fact that they don't seem to understand that we have to plan in case there's no rain at all next winter.
Yes, the people usually, when it rains a little bit, they feel very happy, they feel optimistic that now we solve our water situation problem. This is not the case. That's why we are promoting, and now we are planning to promote in the broadcasting and things like the radio, the news, something with the PIO to promote the water conservation campaign again. Because we actually need this. We are an island, isolated from the mainland of Europe. If we need water again, if something happens, we don't have other sources of water. So whatever we have to keep it, we have to save it, and keep in mind that the saving of water should be our second habit.
How do you get that message across to people? Because we've had campaigns for years. I mean, I've been here a long time, and I can't remember a year when we haven't been telling people to save water. You still see them hosing the pavements in the summer, clearing away the dust. Mm-hmm. How do you get them to change that?
Yeah, this is change. They have to change culture. One thing to change is that we are now promoting and we are planning to get it to the Council of Ministers for approval, our new strategy. And within this strategy, there are some measures which we may have some fines and penalties for people continue to do this habit.
But we've already got the legislation, and nobody's been actually taken to court or sent to jail, have they?
No, they usually the irrigation, we got them if they're not paying. But with regard to the domestic population, this is very difficult because the one which is responsible within the cities are the water councils. It's not the water development department because they are distributing the water within the city, and we are responsible for giving the water in bulk to these entities. So as far as I know, these companies, these entities, they have fines and they do, promote this campaign, but not always.
Well, so I don't know. I've worked in the media here for many years, and I don't think I've ever seen a report of somebody being prosecuted or fined for wasting water.
They were fined during in 2008. When there was the water crisis and we were forced to bring water from Greece, you remember that period, it was a very hard period. At that time, the water boards gave fines to many citizens.
But they haven't
since. It's a long ago, it's a long time ago, so we have to repeat some things and stress the water conservation. So we are planning to revise our law and make it more strict. With regard
but
to
it's
this
got
issue.
To be implemented.
Yeah, we've got to implement it as well.
Because without the implementation, people won't think it's being taken seriously.
Yeah, they have to get forced to do something.
Okay, let's talk about what they can do to conserve water. Your advice to a general household, how do they save water?
First of all, not taking the hose and all the pavements and everything like this, or with the cabin, the toilets. They have to promote and use less water in the toilets with the flushing. There are dual-purpose now flushing toilets in the new houses. They have to insert these appliances instead of the old ones.
In the old days, you used to hand out, or the water boards did, bags to put in the old-fashioned toilets to reduce the amount of flush. Do you still do that?
No, we don't do that because most of the companies now, the importers, they are getting dual-purpose, toilets. And I think that most of the people are now buying these and installing them in their house. The point is that we don't know if they use it. They have to change their habit and use the low flush. This is the main issue. And that's what we are going to do with the PIO and promote that campaign. Apart from that, I think most campaigns with regard to conservation starts at the childhood. So we promote campaigns at the schools. And most of the teachers now, they are teaching a lesson with water conservation. And if you hear most of the children now at homes, they tell their parents to save water. So it's a start.
Okay, but it's also very simple things like turning the tap off while you brush your teeth.
Yeah.
That saves a lot of water. I've spoken to children about it and said, put a bowl underneath and see how much water fresh water is just going down the plug while you brush your teeth.
Yeah.
And I do see a change in the kids.
Yeah, there is a change because of the schools. Yeah, but in the last years, we had some leaflets through these bills of the water boards. We gave them, and every household had that bill, that leaflet, with measures of saving water, one of which was that we said with the tap. Okay, yeah, but do you think that we have to give them all the time and remind the people about that?
It seems to me you do. It seems to me you do.
Yeah.
And what about these aerators? You can very easily fit an aerator in your tap, so the amount of water feels like it's the same for the job you're doing, but actually it's much more air in there, so you're using less.
We know that. We already promoted it, and the touristic industry already, most of the hotels now, they have those aerators. We have to promote them, and it's one of our measures in the strategy to promote it, especially in the new houses, all these appliances. At the time, we had a European program in one village in Cyprus, the watering core, and we promoted that appliances in the whole community. We just gave them for free, but unfortunately we didn't have the results we expected.
Really?
Yeah, we didn't have the results because they just didn't use it properly. They didn't want to use it. We have to search a little bit the reasons why the people at the end of the day.
But if they're in the taps, then they don't have to do anything.
I know.
They just get a lower water bill, actually. Maybe you should promote the idea that this is a way to save money.
Yeah, it is a way to save money, actually. And if they had it, then they see the results. But first of all, they may be convinced that they have to install these at their appliances.
But they're so cheap.
Yeah, I know. It's so cheap. So it's one of our measures we are thinking, especially during the third river basin management plan, which we are planning now. We are starting to plan from this year, and we'll be ready the new river basin management plan with a new program of measures by 2020. So it's one of our measures we are planning to promote.
One last question. Are we selling water too cheap to the consumers? If you put the price up, would that make people more careful?
Yeah. With regard to the domestic water, it is the price is full. We don't give it cheap. We sell it at 22 cents per cubic meters at the water boards, and they increase that price, according to cover their own costs. So, and there is also a volumetric increase. And there are penalties if you use more water, you know that. But still, people, they think that the domestic water is something that is...
they're right.
They're right, yeah. They're right. It's not cheap. It's full cost. We are trying a lot.
Well, you can help the Water Board, the Water Development Department, and the Environment Ministry. In fact, you can help us all by just thinking a little bit more carefully about your usage of water around the house and, of course, in industry, especially those that use a lot of water. Find ways to cut it down, because although some of the dams are overflowing, we could be in trouble in the summer or indeed next winter if we don't get similar rainfall. We've been talking to the acting head of the Water Development Department, Panayota Hadjigeorgiou.
In collaboration with the Cyprus Mail, this is the Cyprus News Digest with Rosie Charalambous.
The first guided tour of North Nicosia that is part of the Women as Vanguards of the Peace Process in Cyprus is taking place tomorrow, and the guide in North Nicosia and finishing back at the Centre for Visual Arts and Research is Dr. Rita Severis. Rita, you did this last year, I think, and it was very successful. So what's the sort of follow-on? Is it going to be the same people, or are you hoping that more new people will come and see what you've got to say?
I think I better start from the very beginning. This has been going on for some years now. It was an initiative taken by Lisa Pattenheim, the then advisor of the UN General Secretary in Cyprus, a representative rather, and she envisaged walks between Greek and Turkish Cypriot women just to get them together for reconciliation and then discussing over lunch or over coffees various issues. It was very successful. We used to have walks during which we used to meet each other, and then sit down and talk. This was carried on by Elizabeth Speher when Lisa left, but we gave it a different touch as well. We decided to have debates. And recently, the subject of the debate has been women as vanguards for the peace process. The first debate on this subject happened last year in December, and we had Alekos Markidis and Emine Çolak presenting their views and their suggestions on the matter, and a room full of women, but we also include men. We're not leaving men behind. They're also most welcome, discussing the matter, posing questions, receiving answers, etc. It was very successful. We were about 100 people. We had walked around southern Nicosia we had a short walk where a guided tour, and during that walk we met each other and then arrived at CVAR for the debate. This is the second one happening, and again this time it will be North Nicosia. We're going to walk a bit around the area of the Buyukan in the center of the town, and then find our way to CVAR where we'll have the debate. This time the debate will be presented by Androula Vasiliou and Dilek Erel. And of course, anybody's welcomed. We already have masses of participation requests, but it's open to anybody, women and men. And we hope this way, the idea is to mobilize women into helping the peace process, to inspire women to take things a bit in their hands. I'm not meaning to rebel or anything, but to participate more in the peace process and to do this together.
Right, so
Greek
it's really,
and Turkish Cypriots.
It's really a grassroots movement, isn't it?
Exactly.
Because women have been very much marginalised in terms of the official process.
Exactly.
They're almost non-existent in the negotiating teams, in the technical committees and so on.
Exactly. It is a civil society movement focusing on women, and we really would like the greatest participation and women that are determined to do something about this. And I think it's working. It is working. We have women from all routes of life. We try to be apolitical. Doesn't matter to which party you belong to. It doesn't matter what your ideology is, as long as you are pro-peace movement.
But wouldn't it be really special if you managed to get some anti-peace people in to join the debate? Because a lot of people, when they've already got their own ideas, aren't really willing to listen to another's point of view, and I would suggest that maybe there won't be any peace process unless there's a debate between the two differing views.
That would be great, and we do welcome it. We do want people that don't agree with our peace process, and we would like to hear their concerns, their points of view, and see how we can find a common denominator and work together for the best of the people of Cyprus. Of course, not everybody agrees with the peace process that is going on, and there are some people that say, no, we'd rather have separation. Well, let's see the pros and cons. Let's discuss and see what comes out of it. This is very important. You can't reach conclusions unless you have discussions and debates.
And unless you have an understanding of
the other points.
would result from, for example, partition.
Exactly.
Do we know what the realities would be?
Exactly.
It's a bit like Brexit, isn't it? People are saying, I don't want this or I do want that, but they don't actually know what they're voting for.
Exactly. This is why we have the debate, and this is why we have people giving their opinion, introducing the debate, let's put it this way, talking for maximum 10 minutes each, giving their knowledge, sharing their knowledge with us, their concerns, and having then the audience pose questions or concerns. We hope that this will go on. We hope that we will have good results. We're determined to have as many women as possible join us and make an effect. So everybody's welcome. Join.
Now, it's too late for people to register because you asked them to do that in advance, but is it too late if they can't join the walk for them to at least come to the debate?
They don't really have to register. The registration is just to have an idea of how many people we're going to have before starting the walk.
Okay.
But people can still join in, and people definitely can join in at the debate.
Well, how
Yes.
many people did you have last time?
About 100.
So it's getting a message across, presumably, but as I said earlier, you need new faces, don't you?
Yes.
You need people who haven't participated in this
Exactly, and as you said, we would like people that are against what we think and against our ideology, and we would also like young people. We would like young people from both communities. First of all, we want them to meet each other, and secondly, we would like to hear their views, their concerns, their fears. What are they afraid of?
And
Can
what does the
discuss it.
future hold for them? Because they've got a lot longer to live with it than perhaps you and I.
Exactly. Don't remind me of my age, Rosie.
So this is the walk starts, I think, at 1:45 at the Buyukhan in North Nicosia.
Exactly. We'll have a short walk around. We're going to see a few monuments, and during the walk, people can join, meet each other, etc.
But there are some beautiful historic places where you're meeting, aren't there? So, I mean,
Yes.
you're going to tell people about the
Yes,
buildings.
yes, I'll give a guided cultural tour. Yes, of course. And then we'll walk through Lidra Street to CVAR, where we will have the debate with a glass of wine. The whole thing is organized under the auspices of Elizabeth Speher, the participation of the Dutch Embassy, the Centre of Visual Arts and Research, and the Association of University Women Graduates in the North.
Do people just show up, or would you like them to phone you if they need more details?
They can phone if they need more details, or they can just show up. They're equally welcomed. So they can call me at the centre, or if it's a decision of the last minute, they can just turn up.
So that's happening tomorrow, and if you would like to find out more, you can call the CVAR on 22 300 994, or just show up at the Buyukhan in North Nicosia at 1:45. The walk goes from 2 until 3:30, ending at the CVAR, where Androula Vasiliou and Didem Erel will be giving presentations prior to the moderated discussion. That's Women as the Vanguards of the Peace Process in Cyprus. We've been talking to Rita Severis from the Centre for Visual Arts and Research.
Keep up to date with events in Cyprus and around the world with the Cyprus News Digest.
Starting tonight at the Cine Studio at the University of Nicosia are British Film Days 2019, and joining us from the British High Commission to tell us all about it is Alex Needham, who's Head of Press and Public Affairs at the High Commission. So you've got 3 films, as far as I know, Alex, coming up, starting with one that is bound to be very popular tonight at 9, and that's Amy. Let's talk about that one first.
Yeah, so basically the idea of this film festival was to choose 3 films about iconic British figures. So we've chosen 3 from different fields, from music, cinema and politics. So as you said, the first film, Amy, about Amy Winehouse, who was obviously a great British musical talent that died very young. It's a very compelling documentary film about her life by British director Asif Kapadia.
Now, the second one, tomorrow evening at 8, is all about Alfred Hitchcock. What an icon.
Yes. So frequently considered the master of suspense and one of the greatest directors of all time. So the film is called Hitchcock. It's about the making of the film Psycho and won, many awards.
So who plays Hitchcock?
So Hitchcock is played by Sir Anthony Hopkins, and there's also another great British actress in there, Helen Mirren.
And the last one on Sunday?
So the last one is a film about Winston Churchill called The Darkest Hour, which stars Gary Oldman, for which he won the Best Actor award at the Oscars, also awarded at the BAFTAs and the Golden Globes. As you probably know, Winston Churchill is frequently voted as one of the favourite Britons of British people of all time, so another iconic figure from the world of politics.
Now, let's go to why you do British Film Days. I know that a lot of the embassies here do have days or weeks where they promote particular cultural aspects of their country, and I take it that this falls within that sort of remit. But how long has it been going on for?
This is actually a new departure for us. It's not something that we've done frequently in the past. So we just had the idea to do something a bit new and fresh at the start of 2019. It's an opportunity for us to showcase some great British cinema to audiences in Cyprus, and also to showcase British creativity and innovation. Britain actually produces 1/5 of the films at the global box office and about 200 films per year, so we are a great film producing nation, and this is an opportunity to showcase that.
And of course, at the end of last year we had the Olivewood, I think they called it, conference here, at which there were a lot of British filmmakers attending to see whether or not Cyprus's new incentive to film in Cyprus is actually going to attract foreign film crews. Did you have any input into that or meet any of the British people who were here for that? Because it could well be that the ties between Cyprus and UK will be much, much closer, particularly in the film industry.
We didn't have any involvement in that particular conference, I have to say, but great to hear that there was strong representation from the British film industry. And, the creative industries is certainly an area that we're interested in expanding cooperation with Cyprus, so hopefully there will be opportunities to come.
And have you got any plans later in the year for other cultural events, like maybe gastronomic events, perhaps? Can we really sell fish and chips and roast beef? I'm not sure.
Yes, we do have some other ideas in the pipeline, a couple of which I can tell you about now. So we are planning to work with the Bank of Cyprus Cultural Foundation on an exhibition around Cyprus's contributions to the Great Wars. And in particular, a particular focus of that will be on the role of the Cypriot muleteers. So there were around 16,000 Cypriots that fought alongside the British, particularly on the Macedonian front. And this will be the first exhibition that will kind of showcase their role. So we're quite excited about that. And also, I'm sure you know that the Eleftheria Square project is nearing its completion.
Is it?
Supposedly. And that project was designed by the late now British Iraqi architect Zaha Hadid, and we're hoping to do some showcasing of her work in Cyprus later this year to coincide with the opening.
Do we have a date for that, roughly?
I can't tell you that at the moment. But just to mention that, we'll have other activities in the pipeline, and your listeners can follow our activities, UK and Cyprus, on Facebook and Twitter.
That's the British Film Days 2019, kicking off at Cine Studio at the University of Nicosia at 9 o'clock tonight with the film Amy, and then tomorrow evening you can see Hitchcock, and on Sunday, The Darkest Hour. Well, that about wraps up this edition of the Cyprus News Digest. Many thanks for your company. Hope you'll join me next week. Till we meet again, take care and God bless. Bye-bye now.